Welcome, Tiny Hands, Big Dreams, here on the homestead in Southern Ecuador. We hear from people who don't live here, mostly back in the States, about the crime where we are, which is kind of funny. And I'm like, so, hey, we live here, we sort of have an idea.
Yeah, more than the people who don't live anywhere in Ecuador, who are only seeing whatever might be on the news.
All right, crime in Ecuador. That's what we're talking about. Let me give you
thoughts.
the boots on the ground, like our firsthand knowledge. First of all, don't pay attention to the news people. They're just trying to sensationalize things. They get stuff really wrong. Nobody corrects them.
They don't know that it's wrong.
They're just reporting on some other report, on an AP report. Okay, so
to give a little bit of perspective of exactly where we are, because it's a
that's
whole
important.
country.
Right. It's like the States. Like, it's a whole country. There's a lot of different parts.
Yeah. So we are.
Right. So if you go to Loja, Loja is the closest big city in southern Ecuador. From Loja, then you head over the pass, which is west, northwest, east, the right direction. You go east over the pass, and you get to Zamora province, which is a different one than what Loja is in. And then you go into, it's called the Orient or Oriente, and that's where we are, is in the Oriente, which we enjoy, but neither here nor there. We have lived in Loja. I have been in other places in southern Ecuador. So we're going to give you like what's going on.
And we live very rurally. Like, we do not live in a city. So there's also that perspective.
We live out on a homestead.
Yeah.
Out by ourselves, away from other people.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that.
Now, that being said, you actually had a conversation.
Right. So we wanted to know, by the numbers. Let's talk about numbers.
Actual data, not just opinions.
Right. Numbers talk, bullshit walks, as they say. So I went down and I set up an appointment at the local police station in Zaza, which is the closest big city to us. I was trying to talk to
it's not big. I mean, it's big city. Big city. You know, you live rurally and you're like, what's the big city? It's not a big city. It's a large town. Small city. It's small.
It's small by normal standards.
I know.
It's big to us. So I go and I was trying to talk to the officers about like crime and things and stuff, and they're like, you need to talk to the Capitan. Okay. So I come back, I have an appointment, I sit and I talk to the Capitan Valencia. Hope I didn't get his name wrong. Very nice man, built like a bodybuilder. I think basically your rank equals like how strong and fit you are. Like, he's lovely man. So we have this whole conversation. I said, look, I'm trying to put together the documentation, the thing, I want the numbers. Of course.
Like crime statistics.
Crime statistics.
Yeah.
And he goes, sure. To do it, I need to have you send a form or a letter stating who you are, what you're doing. It just has to all be like official in writing, and then he can send that to the other person who produces the report, who's actually in Zamora, which is the head of the seat of the province, whatever it is. And then they'll get it to him and get it to me, and I'm like, that's sort of a pain. And I said, okay, well, let me get your. Like, well, can you tell me about crime? He goes, yeah, I can tell you all about it. And I said, so I'm looking for violence, robberies, things. Now, meanwhile, there's 5 other cops in the room standing around. No, they're very professional. They're neatly dressed. It's not like those old TV shows where they're what you would think of as like a Central South American cop. No, they're very professional. And I said like robberies and violence, and they're just like, and they're just laughing. And he's like, no. Categorically, he goes, like, robberies and invasions and things categorically don't exist here. Wow. All the way, we're an hour away, and he goes, 0. It does not happen. Okay. Wow, that's 0. It just doesn't happen. Well, what about, other, he's like, we get what he called gender crime, which was domestic violence. Not much. He goes, but the occasional call probably has alcohol involved, which seems to be somewhat common. People like their drinking, as they do everywhere. They get a little bit of that, and he goes, mostly we have people squabbling over property lines. Like people buy a property, and they either buy it without the escritera, or they, or it has the articles of direction, or it just doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
And then they squabble over like, well, this is mine, this is mine. He goes, that's the majority of what's going on here. And he goes, just don't buy a property, without an escritera, have it verified.
We actually did a video on buying a property in Ecuador, and that's one of the things that we already said to look out for. But having his confirmation that that's like the only issue around here,
and doubling down on what we said earlier, hard no without an escritera and a modern survey.
Yeah.
So, okay. And I'm like, can I quote you on that? He goes, absolutely. He gives me his personal cell phone number, his things. We actually talked about some other stuff. I really liked his cop pants. They're like the tactical cool ones with the pockets and good fabric. So
we've admired them for a while.
So now I know where to get them in Zamora that sells the really cool cop pants, because I just think they'd be good farm pants. So that's where we live in the Oriente. Our personal perspective. I've never lived anywhere safer in my whole life. Grew up in Pennsylvania, moved to California, lived in California for a long time. Let's see, Washington State, Colorado, lived there twice. Tennessee. Wow, I've never lived anywhere safer in my whole life. Literally, stuff just doesn't happen here.
Sure.
We don't lock anything.
We don't worry about anything.
No, like it just...
we have a dog. He's a small dog.
Yeah, our security system is a very small, highly loud sausage dog that will shred your ankle if you try to take his food dish or something.
Yeah, but if anything gets too scary, he just whines and asks for help. He's just a little dog. He's an alarm dog, not a guard dog.
He tells us stuff's coming a mile away.
And then he expects us to deal with it.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what we do.
Which is somebody's coming to talk to me, or somebody's going to check on the water system up past us. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
So I've never lived anywhere safer.
As far as even outside of our old property, we'll go to town, and I have zero concerns about if we left the van unlocked when we went to the market. I wouldn't even worry. We'd lock it.
Mostly.
Habit.
People leave, they'll bring their groceries out of the market and put them on the outside curb by like where the taxis are, and then just go all the way back like, hundreds of meters to the market, keep shopping, come back and like make a pile. Nobody takes anything.
And there's...
all the storefronts have everything just like displayed, like they just push out of their store.
And as far as like person-to-person crimes, which are honestly probably something I worry about more, there just isn't. You don't hear about it. There just isn't. Kids just sort of roam.
So even in Loja, which is a big city and has more crime.
Simply because you have more people in one small space.
But you go by the school when school gets out, and kids just come out, and there's kids, I swear they're 3 foot high, backpacks half their size, and they're just getting into taxis and on buses by themselves.
Yeah, like city buses. Not school buses, city buses.
City buses and taxis. And they just get in a random taxi and like, for 50 cents.
Go wherever they're supposed to go?
Taxi takes them. You don't hear about like, oh, there's a child abduction thing and this and that and all that. It literally just doesn't happen here. It's whatever causes that hasn't happened here. So it's kind of why we picked it. It's a lovely area.
Now we did, like you said, we did live outside Loja for nearly a year.
Now, and there was some, so we, let's see, the house there, let's talk about security practices of the area.
As far as here is nothing.
People don't even have windows.
No.
They'll close their door and like put a latch on it. There's no window in the window holes. Like it's just, everything's just open. Like that's just what here is. Now at Loja, it was customary to have a gate around your property. Big fence gate, open a gate to put your car in. All the houses in the city had like it's just a wall of gate down the streets. And that's pretty much what exists for it. Basically, poop off, don't come in. Mostly it works. Is there some crime? Yeah, there's a little bit. Someone tried to break into my motorcycle tank bag and screwed up the key lock one day. Didn't actually get in.
Well, we had our container that we brought here. We had it within eyesight of the house we were renting, but a ways away down the hill.
Yeah.
And there were some guys who had clearly been drinking, and they were just kind of goofing off. And they definitely
does this open?
Looked at the log.
No.
Okay.
They didn't come back with tools, a scheme, a plan,
yeah.
a thing. There's no...
It's sort of any sort of crime that I ever saw there or heard about. It was really just like an opportunistic. There was no aggression whatsoever.
So that's Loja.
Yeah.
And that's, sometimes people have an alarm.
And our our rental house had a gate to the small road it was on. Passive
security of just put a gate.
The actual property was not fully fenced and you could just walk around. So the gates are like
if you want to do it, you could just walk over to the next street and come in the back.
Yeah.
There's it's just wide open.
So
that's Loja.
Yeah.
And that's here.
I think the gates are really just to keep anyone from wandering in.
And there was a drunk guy once that wanted to come in and talk to me about this and that, and I spent 20 minutes trying to get him to no, I don't have whatever you want. And he wanted to take a shower. I'm like, no, thank you.
That's the extent of it.
That was the extent of it.
Now, we also spent some time, and we know quite a few people in Vilcabamba.
Vilca.
Yeah, Vilca.
So we get a lot of people watching us.
Yeah.
Be like, oh yeah, I'm moving there, this and that. Oh, I'm gonna go to Vilca. And we don't. I mean, it's your choice. You can go wherever you want. We don't care. We're just trying to be helpful.
There's spots for anyone, anywhere.
Sure. It's a choose your own adventure life. Do what you want. However, while we have not said anything kind of to anyone about Vilca, let me say, use a bit of caution. So I have friends in Vilca, and I've stayed there a bunch. It's not incredibly safe. It's not here. One friend had 3 home invasions. 2 of them, he was actually there. Had he woken up, there could have been violence. He had the 12 or 14-foot fence all the way around. He had alarms. He had automatic lights. They bypassed all of it. It took effort, ingenuity, tools.
This was not an opportunistic sort of thing.
No, these are
just organized,
targeted, planned.
Yeah.
Took all of his computers, phones, things, everything. It's expensive. Multiple times. We've heard of other people, same thing, the home invasions. There was a murder home invasion thing not that long ago.
Yeah. On a homestead.
Yeah, on a homestead. Yeah. So then we hear the recommendations for safety in Vilca. And this is kind of what prompted some of this video we were shocked.
So people have a sort of an expectation when they move to Ecuador, when they move to specifically Vilcabamba, this super idyllic, safe, small community, tranquil, all of those things. That's what you hear. That's kind of what you expect. But then on the flip side, you hear this list of things you should do just to be safe.
So there was one video that talked about to be safe, you should have a gated community, a gate around your house,
bars on your windows,
a good alarm system,
a guard dog,
and
guns.
Yeah, not to live away from people, because
if you live rurally,
when something happens, then there's neighbors.
You're more of a target then,
right?
If you live by farther away from the town.
And we're just
well, this is not if I take out you live in a small community in Ecuador, I'd be well, that's what, Chicago? I don't want to live there.
Yeah, so I used to work in Oakland, in California. Oakland is hood. And that was pretty much the security used for Oakland, with roaming gangs, things, crackheads, stuff. It was bad. They steal the gutters off the house. It's kind of bad. And I'm hearing this and I'm that's what you need to live in Shangri-La? What?
Yeah,
there's this disparity of like expectations versus what may be reality. And like I said, we have no skin in the game either way. We don't care. You can live where you want. But we have a bunch of viewers who are talking about that, and we wonder if they don't have a wrong expectation. There was even someone was talking about once about they were doing bite training with attack dogs. Maximum security prisons do this.
Yeah, police do this.
Holy cow! So sort of beside myself with this sort of like one doesn't match the other sort of conversation.
Like this is an amazing place to be, and you should settle down here. But then on the flip side, it isn't safe.
And then there's a bunch of people that we know that have left.
Yeah.
Thought it was great. Something. No, I can't stay here. And all of a sudden they're in, they're out. They're in, they're out.
And it sort of becomes this weird transitory community, which isn't really.
Which just tells me there's a lot of incorrect expectation.
Yeah.
Expectations are what sort of drive a lot of experiences. Yeah. So, and then let's see, going south from there, as you get towards the Peruvian border, you got your narco gangs that are from Peru that have infiltrated up. There is some other small gang violence, but we're told about there's things like they're using drones to find out who has what and who's home when, and they're doing reconnaissance by drone to do things. So even in tiny little towns by the border, they're talking about, you need a gate, you need bars over all the windows, you need alarms, and even then people try to break in, and they time it. It's a targeted activity. That's a long way from here.
No, it's a long way from here.
That's like 7 hours from us. Where we are kind of out in the bottom middle-y area.
No, technically we are also close to the Peruvian border, but it isn't the border.
By the time you get over that mountain, you're just hungry and thirsty.
Yeah, I mean, it's just jungle. There's no way of
There's no
entering
towns, there's no roads, it's just wild Amazonian jungle.
Whereas the very southern tip of Ecuador is the road.
That's the Trans-American Highway.
Pan American Highway.
Pan American Highway? Yeah, Pan American Highway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that becomes then the major entry and exit point.
Sure. We hear about, now we haven't lived there or been there, the northern part by Colombia has similar problems. The coast, as coasts and port cities do, always seem to have problems around the world.
And big cities are always going to have more crime. It doesn't matter where in the world you are.
Petty crime to major crime to...
It's just more population, you have more chance of crime, more risk of violence. It's just what it is.
It wasn't something we wanted on the table in our homestead. So we chose somewhere that didn't have it.
And honestly, like it's statistically the safest part of Ecuador.
Yeah, statistically. I mean, it's so I'm probably not going to get the report just because if
it's going to say nothing.
It's going to say nothing, and that's quoted from the police captain. However, if we wanted to pull the one for like the Canton, and including Zamora things, we could get all of it just with filling out a letter. Now, if you want to hear about Vilca, I guess that would be in Loja, is the head of the Canton. Don't quote me on this.
I think so, yeah.
You could probably do the same letter there and just request full crime statistics, whatever. Now, how much is reported?
Well, and that's the thing. I don't think all petty theft is reported. That's just my guess.
I don't know, and it may change in place to place as to what gets even just, what do they even make a report about?
Yeah.
So, statistics, stuff, but
it gives you at least an idea.
But you could, I don't even think there's a cost to it. You could get that report if you went to the main office in Loja.
Yeah. And you could probably do that most anywhere in the country. I don't think it would be hard.
I think that's how it works.
If you're looking at moving somewhere else in the country, I think that you could probably get the same report.
Yeah. So we're gonna try to have some interviews coming up of people who live in different parts of the country, who are interesting, intelligent people, who have good knowledge and experience about areas that are other places that people like to move to. So we're going to try to set up some interviews, and have some fun with that, and just kind of get their their feelings, their
perspective.
Yeah.
On different areas. We can't. I'm not going to speak to places we haven't even set foot on. So we want the boots on the ground of other people's experience, just like we have where we are. Yeah.
Because that's useful, and there are people without some sort of agenda or
ulterior motive to what they're
just people. And it's like when we talked about our property video, and the first thing we tell you about a property is go and talk to the neighbor.
Don't talk to the person trying to sell you the property.
Don't talk to the neighbor. Neighbor doesn't care one way or the other. They'll tell you about things or something, to this or that. Oh, the weather. They'll just tell you all about it.
Yeah.
It's a lovely time. So there you go. That is our little update from our little corner of the edge of the Amazon. It's a lovely day here. We got some new videos coming up. We just had piglets. Oh my gosh, 8 little piglets. So that's neat. Did a major solar upgrade. We're gonna have a video on that coming out soon.
Working on the garden.
Like we've had
revamping some things.
Major updates all around. If it's interesting to you, subscribe, like, share. We appreciate it, and we'll see you for the next one.